Hey guys, this is a segment from the Slumpbuster Podcast. You can find the full episode on any of the various podcast platforms, or of course, subscribe to us on YouTube for more of our content. Other than that, guys, sit down, bust a slump, and enjoy. So this division came down to a literal inch. Week 17, Niners Seahawks, winner takes the division crown, and Jacob Hollister on the 1 yard line gets tackled by Dre Greenlaw. So interesting to the end. It tells you that Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, that combination, no matter how bad the team is, can still manage to get W's. Though, is this team bad around Russell? That is one of the big questions. They did add pieces such as Jamal Adams, which is one of the big head turners of the offseason. They didn't re-sign players like Josh Gordon. So their wide receiving core is still based around the developing DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, great deep threats. It turns out you don't have to worry too much about a wide receiver's route tree only being go routes when they look like DK Metcalf. That's a fun fact that a lot of draft analysts seem to overlook. I never count out the Seahawks just because I know this team is so dangerous. Last year, you couldn't even name a defensive back for them, and they still were in games. They were still competing. At one point, and actually this goes prior to week 17 as well, they had to re-sign Marshawn Lynch. This year, they're running out a combination of Rashad Penny, Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, and CJ Prosise. So their running back core, if these guys stay healthy, they'll have a running back game. We know Pete Carroll, he likes to run the ball and play defense, limit Russell Wilson's passing attack. Do you think that's the right way to go? We've heard murmurs of potentially an Antonio Brown signing in Seattle. What do you think of the Seahawks offense moving forward, Dre?
Yeah, I just always worry that, at the end of the day, it's just going to come back to Russell Wilson having to do everything himself. And like you said, they're wide receivers. I know they're going with that young core, trying to develop them. But I still wish they would have got Russell Wilson a little bit more help. And then their running backs, out of all the names that you listed, I still don't think any really pop off the sheet to me that I'm like, oh, yeah, you've got a superior run game as well. And so I still think at the end of the day, it's going to be very Russell Wilson centric. And then as far as the defensive side, I think they made some improvements. But again, I think that this team is really going to fall on Pete Carroll finding, really inventive schemes and how to, exploit other teams' weaknesses. And then it's going to come down to Russell Wilson having, to do his magic acts again.
Yeah, they have a limited pass rush with Jadeveon Clowney not coming back. They also didn't re-sign Ziggy Ansah. So I'm not convinced that this team overall from a talent perspective is necessarily better. In fact, even trading away their starting safety from last year for Jamal Adams may be even questionable in that regard because he wasn't terrible against pass coverage. And the main reason behind getting a Jamal Adams is you want a guy that's going to start George Kittle. Whether the Seahawks are now in a position to do that, I have the Seahawks finishing 10-6. What do you have them, Dre?
Yeah, for some reason, I'm still really high on this team. I think they just always find a way to win. So this might be a little bit high, but I have them 12-4.
Okay. I mean, that's a projection that a lot of people are going with. They still see the Seahawks and the Niners as two of the top three teams in the NFC. Also throwing in, of course, the Saints there. Now we have to start talking about Tampa. So when you talk about those championship tier level teams, the Seahawks are usually in a lot of pundits, like combination of them. I gave them 10-6 just because, again, from a talent perspective, I don't think that they're necessarily there. And after a certain point, it's how many games can Russell Wilson bail you out of? So that's where I have the Seahawks better than last year. We had them 8-8, and they were, again, one of the league's best teams.